in this video, there is a lot to talk about, and I don't really know where to begin. Let's start with something positive. It turns out that the FBI had onision on the radar for a while.
And I do have some updated information from the FBI. It turns out that the Bureau had onision on its radar for some time. And the fact that we have brought these victims forward has only given it more urgency in terms of an investigation. And I will have a lot more information that I'm able to talk about next week and the week after when it comes to that. But
oh man, this is serious. This is really serious. I mean, I don't know why I was shocked that onision was on FBI's radar. I mean, it's onision we are talking about, right? I feel that finally, after years and years of nothing happening, finally the victims might get justice. In the most recent Chris Hansen live stream, Chris Hansen interviewed Medium Rare and talked about the onision forums in depth. I am so fucking glad that the onision forums are now getting a lot of attention. Previously, when the onision forums got attention because onision was rating underage girls, my opinion about that was it was really bizarre. It was really creepy. Onision should not be doing this. However, I thought that there was nothing more to it, you know? I thought that, yes, it's very weird. It's very bizarre that he is rating the bodies of underage fans, but I just thought that there was nothing more to it. And I was wrong. I was dead wrong. The video that opened my eyes on how horrible these forums were was the video by Medium Rare. That 1 hour long video on onision forums. The video is called Onision Forums, a catalog for undesirables. And that video has 65K views. I believe it deserves more. So I'm really glad that Chris Hansen is now covering the onision forums. The onision forums wasn't just a place where young girls can post pictures of themselves and onision would rate them. It wasn't just that. The onision forums were more toxic than that. It's honestly horrifying, you know? One of the things that Medium Rare brings up over and over again is just how much people were desensitized to everything that was going on the forums.
looking back, was this unhealthy? Were you exposed to things you shouldn't have been exposed to as a young teen?
100%, and that's what I was going to get to now, because I wanted to make that clear that I spent all this time from 13 to 18, 19 years old. And obviously that's a time when you're going through very formative teenage years. So you're very influenced by the things going around you, especially if there's adults or whatever who are engaging in certain activities or the people around you. So you suddenly become desensitized to a lot of things. So you see someone being doxxed, and the first time you think, oh, well, this person's information was released, that's horrible. But by the time you've seen it 3 times, you start thinking, oh, well, it's actually not that bad. It happens all the time. What's the worst that could happen?
People were desensitized to doxing. It's hard for me to imagine that, but if it happens again and again and again and again, yeah, people can get desensitized. Just like we all have been desensitized to onision, you know?
I view the forums as a catalog for these undesirables, and adults would come on here. They would make friends with people who were underage. People 18 plus would be on there being friends with people much, much younger than them. And that was the norm. I would say maybe 75% of the active user base were under the age of 18 on these forums when I was there for the 6 or 7 years that I was engaged there.
Rag, you yourself had a relationship while you were underage with somebody who was an adult.
Yes, I did. I had a relationship with someone who was 20, 21 years old when I was 15, 16 years old. And that went on, stretched around the course of a year. And that's something that at the time I viewed as very normal. I had seen other people in the community who had been involved with similar sort of arrangements. I had seen friends who had been 15 with someone who's 25, or I'd seen friends who had been 14 and someone's 20 or whatever. So when it happened with me, I just thought it was normal as well, and no one really said anything.
Nobody said anything. It was seen as normal. This was seen as just normal for someone to have a relationship with someone significantly older. And we're talking about teenagers here, right? We're not talking about adults. We're talking about teenagers having relationships with significantly older adults. And nobody said anything. It was seen as normal, which is horrifying. Like, if that happened on YouTube right now, there will be countless commentary videos. Probably I would also be one of those people who'd make a video, But point is, there will be many videos talking about it and saying, outright, this is unacceptable. But because of the toxicity of these forums, everybody thought it was normal. It's insane. It is, I don't know what to say. There are many, many examples of this on Onision's forums. A specific case that Medium Rare brought up was actually about Regina and how their nudes were leaked.
What bothered you most about what you saw in these forums?
The worst thing I ever specifically saw, the worst instance I remember from the forums, was the thing that happened to Regina, and obviously that's been covered. But I'll tell my version of events that I remember. So it was 2012. I specifically remember it was near the end of 2012, and obviously I had met Regina on the Onision forums. I had been kind of friends. We were never close friends or anything. We had spoken a few times and whatever. So I was well aware of who Regina was. I had nothing against her. I wasn't friends per se with her either. I was also involved with another large group of people on the forums who were very, very toxic at the time. They were involved in a lot of doxing. They were involved in a lot of things that should not have been going on. And I was very desensitized to at the time. One of these people was the person that I ended up dating when I was underage and whatever. So anyway, so what happened was there was a forum moderator, and he was a grown man, and he was speaking to Regina while Regina was underage, and he was well aware of that. Regina sent him nude images of herself, which he then, for whatever reason, passed on to someone else, who then passed them on to a friend of mine, the person I was dating at the time, or just after that, I think I was dating them, and they passed it on to a friend of theirs. And the friend of theirs was someone who did not like Regina. And the reason they gave for not liking Regina was that Regina lied about her age. Or their age. I think Regina uses they, them pronouns or whatever. But they said Regina lied about their age. And that's why they didn't like Regina, because Regina was saying that they were 18 or 19 years old, when, and as a matter of fact, Regina was 14, 15 years old. So they said Regina was going to deserve what they were now doing. So what they did was they hacked into Regina's Facebook account, other social networks, went to 4chan, other message boards online, and posted these nude images all over the internet, including on Regina's Facebook page that had thousands of followers on it as well. And they did this because they said Regina deserved it for lying about Regina's age.
That is horrifying. And the justification, and the person's justification for leaking those nudes were, well, they deserved it. I can't even comprehend that. And these were the types of people that were on these forums and were not demonized by the community. There was another example that Medium Rare brought up in which the people who received nudes of an underage girl, so these were literal undesirables, okay? Those people just hanged around afterwards. Afterwards, when this was revealed to the community, they just hung around, Nothing came of it. In a month or two, everything was forgotten. The toxic community basically just accepted them. And that is fucking horrifying to think about. To think that this was normalized. To think that this toxic behavior was fucking normalized on Onision's forums. Onision should be fucking held responsible for this. Literally, I cannot comprehend how horrible these forums were. All of this behavior was just normalized. I I have fucking no words to say.
I mean, I've heard some individuals comment or make comments like, "Oh, we know that." I've heard that that's the place these people go because they know that Onision has a young fan base, so they will specifically target that place. And I've known people as young as being 11 or 12 years old who have been on these forums. But what I think the most important thing to touch on here is obviously it's not the biggest deal in the world to have a lot of toxic behavior going on, so long as it's being moderated and people are being banned and the community is completely against it. But the Onision forums harbored a very toxic community where things were normalized and people were desensitized from things. And for example, the relationship I had with someone older than me, the relationships my friends have had with people older than them, was something that was never demonized. It was something that most people looked at and thought, oh, I'll just ignore that. I'll be a bystander. That's just what it is. Maybe one or two people would come out of the woodworks and they'd say a thing or two. They'd say, oh, I don't like that. But nothing ever came of those things. So yes, some people stood up and said, no, that's wrong, but they never took enough of a stand for anything to actually be done about it.
So that is very interesting. It was the culture of the forums that was the problem. It wasn't the fact that people were doxxed that was the problem. It was the fact that people who doxed other people weren't demonized enough. There were too many bystanders. So the problem wasn't that there were too many bad apples in the community. The problem was that the community did not reject them. That is probably because of all the desensitization that was going on these forums, that the community did not reject them. Relationships with someone way older wasn't demonized enough. Of course, I'm talking about teenagers having relationships with adults way older than them, because there were too many bystanders. That is very interesting. And I think that it applies to Onision as well, right? We all have been desensitized to the undesirable onion. But if you ask YouTubers, big YouTubers, whether or not they think that onion is a problem, yeah, almost all of them will say, yeah, onion is a problem. But we all have been desensitized to Onision. And I think that it's partially because of all this desensitization that's going on. It's because of that Onision has gotten away with a lot of this stuff. This moment shouldn't have happened in 2019. It should have happened way before. I mean, think about this. If the FBI was investigating a YouTuber with 2 million subs, and there was a lot of proof that this YouTuber was an undesirable, everybody would be talking about it. PewDiePie will be talking about it. YouTube will have to release a public statement about that particular YouTuber. But because it's Onision, it's no. Nothing like that's happening. By the way, I'm glad to see some changes, I'm glad to see that a lot of people who wouldn't cover Onision are now covering him, like Philip DeFranco. I'm glad to see that. However, you get my point, We all have been desensitized to Onision. I think the message that we all should be taken away with this is we all should speak up when we see something wrong and not be bystanders. Of course, in this case, the forums were filled with kids and undesirables, and this behavior wasn't moderated properly. So I have covered a lot about what was going on Onision's forums. I just have these moments that really shows who Onision is. Take a look.
Although there was a couple of times where he had a falling out with me. I was banned from his forums another point because I disagreed with him on politics. That was something that happened on the forums quite regularly, where he would He was very distant from the forums. He would just look at this contact Onision section I spoke about earlier, but every so often he would come onto the forums and bring down his authoritarian hammer and decide, well, today all meat eaters are banned because I'm a vegetarian, and if you're not, then you're a horrible person, and everyone would get banned. Or there was another time where he says, well, today there's no longer allowed to be any male moderators because I do not trust men. Or another day he'd come on and say, well, today you're not allowed to have this opinion. If you disagree with me, you're banned. So that sort of thing was quite common, and that turned a lot of the Onision forums user base actually against Onision.
People would get banned over politics. Yeah, that sounds just like Onision. I can't even go through what his reasoning is. I mean, one day he just wakes up and thinks like, oh, all men are bad, and he's gonna ban. It's ridiculous. And of course, all meat eaters are bad, so ban every meat eater on your forums. Yeah, that seems like a great idea. I don't know. But again, this sounds just like Onision, he's the guy with the vegetarian body. So yeah, Medium Rare used the word authoritarian, and that's the fucking perfect word to describe this behavior. Yeah, he's being authoritative and just wants to control everyone's speech. There is still a discussion about whether or not it is Onision's responsibility. Are the things that were going on these forums, is it his responsibility? I would say yes, because it's his forums, he should be held accountable, at least bear some responsibility, right? He knew what was going on and he didn't care.
Well, yes, there have been people who were underage and they sent their images to other people who were adults, but it never happened to my knowledge actually on the forums. But the point I'm trying to make is that even though it didn't happen on the forums, I think Onision still bears the responsibility of knowing for a fact that he has a young audience. And if you've got a young audience, why on earth would you create an internet forum for such a young audience? I mean, that's essentially like creating a social media for 13-year-olds. It's like creating Facebook for only children. That's essentially what I view that as, and it's very strange. I mean, it would be different, for example, if a creator whose demographics were people in their 30s to then go create an internet forum, because people are going to engage and have conversations and stuff. But there is something a bit strange when Onision, who knows that his fan base are 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, creating a platform for these people to then go into. There's something a bit off about that, and I think that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that ends this video. I don't know what YouTube is doing at this point. I mean, what do you need? YouTube, what do you fucking need? Onision has broken so many fucking rules. Onision has falsely copyrighted videos and claimed videos that weren't his. That was just criticism. And now with the new harassment policy, he has bullied and harassed Eugenia Cooney for so long. So, what do you need, YouTube? Just take him down. And let's fucking remember, YouTube took down Content Cop, one of the most beloved and iconic videos on this website. And YouTube won't take down Onision. That is fucking baffling. Anyways, I'm done. I'm done with this video. I don't know when this video will go live. Maybe like a day later, because I'll need time to edit this one. It's kind of long as well. Subscribe to this channel if you like this video. Wait, no, that's not right. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you wanna subscribe, I guess. I don't know. Comment your thoughts down below, and I hope you have a wonderful day today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.